I think particularly at that age, I didn't really have a habit of thinking long term and practically. But I made some big life decisions based on Ally McBeal. So, you know.
Right, Jools, welcome to Rad-Ventures, the podcast that takes you on an exhilarating journey through the lives of entrepreneurs and business owners. Business owner and entrepreneur, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
You're most welcome. So, tell us what you do, Jools, and who you are.
So I'm Jools. I am an entrepreneur. I run a business that is involved with consulting with small businesses, big businesses on neurodiversity and making workplaces a better place for everyone. I'm relatively new to that, but I've had my business now for 8 years. So yeah, I've been on this joyful roller coaster for a while now.
Okay, so tell us what that involves then.
So it involves with smaller business and like solopreneurs, it involves looking at processes and how you can make them more inclusive for neurodiverse people. And with bigger businesses, it's looking at their strategy and making sure that they've got things in place to help the workplace be more inclusive as well. Looking at like having groups that support neurodiverse employees, making sure policies like have things in place, as well as looking at coaching for individuals and leadership training as well. So lots of
that sounds great. So that's a fairly new thing. That sounds like that was something previously that's now evolved.
Yeah, so I've had my business for a while. I've always been, I'm neurodiverse, always been massively into like process, productivity, making my life as easy as possible, putting systems in place. And I was doing that kind of in a tech capacity and supporting businesses with implementing tech. And then it evolved into mentoring and coaching. And then as I've been on my kind of own journey with neurodiversity, I realised that actually probably a lot of what I've done is because of being in the workplace wasn't a suitable environment for me. And it made me think I'd like to affect some change. I've always wanted to create change, but never really known how. And I thought actually marrying up the things that I know and have done and bringing in the neurodiversity element, which is also something that's really close to me, means that I can hopefully do that.
Nice. So, are you happy to talk about your neurodiversity?
Yeah, sure.
Because we've had quite a few guests on the show so far.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, 5 maybe already. So it's something that we've talked quite a bit about in previous episodes. Well, there's certainly at least one episode that's been published so far, but two episodes that have been published. 3.
Ooh.
There's more people than I remembered. So tell us about your neurodiversity then.
So I am self-diagnosed autistic, still debating whether I want to go through a formal diagnosis, because I think for many reasons it could be quite traumatic. And I also think, maybe traumatic is a bit of a aggressive word, but I think it would be very emotive for me. And I'm not sure it's something that I necessarily need or want. So self-diagnosed autistic, and I've also got a side of OCD with that, which is great fun. And I do have a lot of the ADHD tendencies as well. So yeah, just a plethora of things.
Plethora of neurodiverseness.
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, so we might touch on that a bit later on.
Yeah, sure.
But now we've in the preamble we've spoken about this, and I know that you spoke to a career advisor.
I did.
Usually, I start with perhaps at school you did speak to a careers advisor, and people are always like, "No, what are you talking about?" I'm like, "Oh, all right then."
Yeah,
but you did.
I did. Yes, okay, I'll explain in a minute, but sorry, carry on.
Okay, so that's just, it's made me think of another point, actually.
Okay.
Because I know that you're in the north.
I am.
Whereabouts did you go to school?
In North Yorkshire.
Oh, okay, you're that side. No worries, that's fine.
But I live on the other side now.
So you're west side now?
I'm west side. I want to do
nice.
the west side hand thing, but I'm not going to.
No, I did it in an episode that's coming out in a couple of weeks. She grew up in Southport, but she was originally from Yorkshire. And so, yeah, I dropped the same joke there. So are you in Lancashire now, or are you in Manchester way?
So I'm north of Manchester. Do you know where Chorley is?
I know where Chorley is.
Yes, I'm in a little village near Chorley.
I'm from that way
Ah,
originally.
I
You
think I
can't
feel
tell
like
though,
you
because
did know that.
I've been down here so long that my accent has softened. In fact, I had a Scouse man drop the Asda off last week, and he said, I answered the door eating my sandwich, and he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, have I interrupted you? Are you having your dinner?" And I was like, "We're in the south now. We're having lunch." So yeah. Anyway, okay, let's move on then. So let's talk about the school's career advisor.
Yeah.
What did you tell the school career advisor you wanted to be?
That I don't remember. But I didn't have a career advisor in school, but I had one when I went to college.
Okay.
And it was a bit weird. Like you went to see them and you talked about, at that point you're doing your A levels, so you're already thinking about like what you want to do. But they made you do this. I don't know if you had to do it, like an online test to see what you were going to be. And you filled in a load of questions, and mine came up with fish farmer.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not an outdoorsy person. Don't really enjoy
No.
the outdoors. Don't really know where that came from. Don't really like fish.
Yeah. And I can't imagine in North Yorkshire, especially if you're living inland, there was many places to farm your fish.
I had no idea what it was. I mean, if I'm honest, to this day, I'm still not 100% sure because it definitely wasn't going to be a career I was looking into. But yeah, fish farmer.
Nice. So, obviously, you didn't become a fish farmer.
I did not.
No. So you say you were clearly on a path when you were doing your A levels, which most of us are because we have to make choices at year 9, right? Or
Yeah.
when what is that? Are we 14 then? 14,
Yeah,
15?
14, yeah, I think so.
So you've made those choices and you're kind of heading in a direction. What direction were you heading in?
I was heading in the direction to do law. That
Okay.
was my plan. I wanted to be, at this point, actually, I wanted to be a criminal defense lawyer, but I preferably wanted to move to America to do it, not to study,
Right.
to work.
Yeah. Nice. And did something influence you there or?
Ally McBeal?
we we've talked about this before for the benefit of our listeners and watchers. It was one of our. That's how I reached out, wasn't it? We're both in the Generator Gals, the club.
We are.
I am the honorary man.
Yeah.
And you'd followed me on social media, and I thought, I better get back and say thanks for following me. And so I had a quick flick through your page, and I saw that you did law. And as listeners, devout listeners of the show will know, if this is your first episode, you obviously won't know. But one of my clients is a law firm. So I have a small interest in the law. And when I was younger, I wanted to work in law because of Ally McBeal.
It's just influential, wasn't it?
It was a good show, wasn't it?
It really was, yeah. I don't think
We had someone on the show. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's not aged very well at all. I think I tried to watch it not too long ago, and I said, "Oh no!" Just the graphics of the dancing baby were awful.
Yeah.
But I had someone on the show a few weeks back now. She didn't know what it was.
Well, yeah.
I was like, "What?
I feel sad for her.
No." Yeah, I do. All right. So, criminal lawyer in the US.
Yeah.
I would have thought that would be quite a good career. They make loads of money, don't they? Because it's all kind of private over there and everything.
Yeah, I think probably. I say this is what I wanted to do. I think particularly at that age, I didn't really have a habit of thinking long term and practically, but I made some big life decisions based on Ally McBeal, so,
Yeah, maybe we should ask Callista Flockhart if she'd come on the show and explain herself.
Yeah, got a lot to answer for. That was an expensive degree.
Yeah, okay. So you were doing your A levels. We've established that you're heading in the direction of law.
Yes.
And you just mentioned you got a law degree. So you went to. I know this from our conversation. You went to Sheffield, right?
I did. Yeah, Sheffield University.
There's a couple. Is there 2 Sheffield universities? Is one Harlem or something? Is that one?
Yeah, there's Hallam and then there's the university, like Sheffield University and Sheffield Hallam.
I think I nearly went to Sheffield Hallam.
Oh, nice. Where did you go?
I didn't go.
Oh.
I applied. I knew what I was going to do. I'd since dropped the lawyer thing.
Sensible.
I decided that academia probably wasn't my best route after failing 3 AS levels. Again, distracted by a TV program. Of course, this wasn't Ally McBeal. This was much cooler: Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball GT.
Oh, I actually don't know what it is.
Oh, it's anime. It's like one of
Oh,
the
cool.
best cartoons in the whole world. Or it was at the time, and got distracted, didn't keep up with my studies, which I never really was good at anyway. I'd always cram the night before rather than
Yeah.
doing it in advance. But by that point, I well and truly dropped law, and I decided after I left, after I was removed from the sixth form for failing 3 AS levels, I decided that I was going to be a policeman.
Oh, wow.
So if I couldn't be a solicitor, I'd do the other side, And so I decided that I think I was too young to apply anyway, but I decided I'd go to college for 2 years. So I went to Burnley College, did my 2 years of public services there, got to the end of that, applied for university. I was going to do criminology with psychology.
Oh, nice.
Sheffield, Harlem was obviously one of the places I was looking at. Thames Valley, Vale of Glamorgan. Can't remember my other one. But I decided at the last minute, didn't want to do that. So I was like, no, I'm not going to.
Fair
So I
play.
didn't go.
Fair enough.
So,
Probably a decision I should have made.
But you did go and you did get your law degree, right?
I did. I was quite sneaky actually because I got in to do law and criminology, and but I really wanted to just do pure law, but my A-level results weren't good enough. So after I'd been there a couple of months, I went to speak to them and I was like, look, I'd quite like to just do pure law. Would you let me? And at the time, I had really good results from what I was already submitting. So they were like, yeah, sure, we'll let you on to do pure law. So I kind of snuck in, and then it all went a bit downhill.
Ah. But you got the degree, though.
I did get the degree.
Good job.
Yay.
And so, and when you were at that point, what aspect of law were you still considering going into criminal law then, or?
No. After my first year, I pretty much realised that I'd made a bad choice. And I was like, the law is not for me. I think it was studying property law that really was the final nail in the coffin. I hadn't considered that, you'd have to study other elements of the law, not just criminal. And so after my second year, I took a year out because I was like, I don't think this is for me. I intended to leave and not finish my degree, but I got the conversation of my parents of we're very disappointed in you. And I was like, okay, I'll go back and finish. So that's what I ended up doing.
Okay. So what did you do after that then?
After that, I moved home for a year because I'd had a pretty healthy shopping addiction whilst at university, and I've got myself into a bit of debt. Shopping and drinking, really. It was a great time. So I moved home for a year to move back to Yorkshire, live with my parents, and I worked as do you know when you buy a house, you have searches done on your property to tell you about like where it is in the area, if you're in a chancery repair, all that sort of stuff. I was typing up those. So I was typing up the legal searches for a year whilst I was living at home.
Okay. Was that part of HM Land Registry, or was that part of like a company you were working with?
Yeah, they're private companies that do it, and they have search agents that go into the councils and get the information and then send it back to the office, and you type that up.
Oh, okay. So that gave you your first real taste of office life, then, as it were.
It did, and it was crazy. It was in an old it was an old building that had been used, I think, for like when the mines were working, and they'd just taken on part of it and put a few desks in there. It was so bizarre. But yeah, that was my kind of first experience of the office working world.
Ah, okay. Okay, so then presumably from there, you started to think what you actually wanted to do for a living, or did you just kind of fall into it?
I literally fell into what I ended up doing. So after a year, I decided at the time I was with my boyfriend, he'd moved to London, so I was like, right, I'm going to move to London. So I was chatting to the company that I work for, and I said, look, I'm going to move. And they said, right, we'll employ you as a search agent in London, so you can go out and do all the searches. And I was like, great, perfect. So after a year, I moved to London and moved with that company. And unfortunately, after about 6 months, I was out one Saturday, and I may or may not have had a few drinks, and I fell down the bus stairs, and I didn't break my ankle, but I damaged it pretty badly and ended up on crutches. And so I couldn't do the job that I was employed to do because I couldn't travel around London easily enough.
Oh no.
So yeah, I had to have a rethink at that point. Yeah.
Ah, I see. Was that like didn't have the option of sick pay for a little bit, or?
They gave me the option of sick pay for, I think it was really minimum. It was the least amount of time they were allowed to do it for,
Mm.
basically. And because I was living in London, but it was a north-based company, I was on more of a northern wage, and it wouldn't cover my expenses of being in London.
Oh
So I was
yeah.
like, shit, I'm gonna have to like get a job. So I started interviewing whilst I was still on my crutches for an admin assistant role.
Mm.
Um, and luckily, I ended up getting something.
Oh, nice. And so how long ago was that then?
18 years?
No. You
Yes.
can't have done uni 18 years ago. You can't have done uni like 5 or 6 years ago and then done 18 years ago you've been to admin.
I know, it's hard to believe, but yeah, so I finished, yeah, I must have done because I was like mid 20s, early 20s.
Okay, so talk us through then how you go through the admin assistant in London
Hmm.
to your business that you've been doing for 8 years.
So I got my admin assistant role in an oil and gas company that was tiny, really lovely company, really little. They had a lot of freelancers that came in and out, and I was there for the whole time I lived in London. So I think I was there for 8 years, and well, the majority of the time I lived there. And because it was so small, I worked my way up from being the admin assistant to the exec assistant to the board and chief exec in a really short period of time. And I was also able to, they just gave me free reign. Whatever I wanted to learn, they'd let me do. Like whatever I wanted to take on, they'd let me take on. So I did like, I helped out with the tech, I helped out with the web development, I helped out with the annual reports and the health and safety and office management. And so I got such a broad range of skills. Um, it was great fun. They were a great company to work for. But at the time, I was with my now ex-husband, and we discussed moving back up north. So after about 8 years, I applied for jobs in the north, and I ended up working in a utilities company, being the exec assistant to the chief exec there. And I was there for like 2 years, and I had a chief exec change, and the guy that I started working with, we didn't have the same relationship. It was quite difficult, and I'd thought about setting my business up in 2012. I'd set it up. I'd done the business cards, the important
Mm.
stuff. I'd got the business cards, the website, the domain name, and then nothing else. I didn't have any contacts or confidence, so it just kind of sat dormant. And then
Mm.
after I'd kind of moved up north, and I was working in, I wasn't enjoying my job. I was like, "Do you know what? I'm going to give it a go again and see what happens." And luckily, this time instead of sinking, I floated. So yeah, that's how I got there.
Nice. I like it. So do you have business cards now? Because
I
that's not a
don't know,
thing
but
anymore, is it?
I kind of want to bring them back.
I love to hate them, I suppose.
And
I when I first set up my business, I got them and I was like, "Oh yeah, look at this." And then when I rebranded, I got really fancy ones like rounded corners on gloss.
oh,
Yeah,
nice.
they were gloss instead, and my all my stuff is like it's neon pinks, blues,
Yeah,
and I was like, yeah. And then I changed my logo, and then after that, I didn't get any more because I've still got the original. I've got like, let's say I ordered 50 last time. I've got like 46 of them left.
yeah.
And one of those went to my mum and dad.
Yeah.
each. So, I've only given out 2 others.
That's
So
it. There's just something so nice about it, but equally, I don't want anyone to have my phone number or my email address. So I like, I don't really.
it is tough, isn't it, with that? I
Yeah.
think I thought to myself, like, next time if I do them again with like the newer logo, this one,
Yeah.
I thought just have that on the front and on the back do a QR code which takes them to my
Yeah.
website. And like because I had gloss cards, I could have a matte black QR code and hope that
Ooh,
as if it flashed, then it would the camera would capture that QR code.
nice.
Um, and I thought, yeah. And then someone said, oh well, what about potentially people that don't have a smartphone anymore? And I was like, oh well, okay, maybe I'll put my phone number on there, and I can speak to them afterwards. And then someone was like, well, what if someone wants to know more about you? I was like, well, I could put my website on there, I suppose. And then it's like, well, what if someone doesn't want to go to your website? What if they want to email you direct? I was like, well, if I put my email address, and then I was like, this is just my old cards.
I'm getting flashes to American Psycho where they're all handing out their business cards and they're like,
Yeah,
ooh, love that.
yeah, I love that. I've watched that film once. I had to watch it in 2 parts. At the time, my daughter was very young, so
Oh,
she'd woken up post nap uh, after the first half. So I had to watch the second half, and I don't remember the second half as much as the first half. I was obviously distracted or too tired or
yeah.
something, but it was a really good film. But I loved the card scene.
Yeah,
I loved the dancey bit with the little Mac on, and he's all like, "This is Hugh Lewis in the news."
it's great.
Um,
Just not
it's
one for
my
the
prop.
kids.
No, that's not one for the kids. But it's proper my jam, spouting out facts about bands and stuff. Just not obviously before I chop someone up with an axe,
Yeah.
because I didn't do that, and you can't prove it. You'll never find the body. Okay, so business cards. So yeah, okay, bring back business cards.
Yeah.
Jules says so.
But with no
We like those. Yeah, with no image. So literally your name.
Yeah, just the logo. Pretty card.
Yeah, a logo, a card on. What is it? Something gauge paper.
Yeah,
It's pressed, and look at the gold
yeah,
leaf. Ooh.
exactly.
See, we recreated that scene right there.
We did.
That is probably going to be my. I wish I could have done it better. I wish I could remember lines from that film, and then we could have
Yeah,
actually gone for it. And then that could have been my Instagram teaser this afternoon.
that would have been good. Yeah, sorry.
It's my fault. I don't know the lines. I'm sorry. Um, okay, so what did you say about 8 years ago that you set up this business, or this
Yes,
is the second attempt at the business,
yes.
and you're good to go.
Good
So
to
you
go.
don't necessarily need the business cards anymore. How did you go about that? Was it relying on connections? Were you heading for social media? Were you heading for networking in person?
Back then, it was a talk to everyone I know that I've ever met in business and see if they need support. And in all honesty, I was at that point, I was doing virtual assistant work. I hadn't really
Hmm.
considered the future of the business. I just knew I wanted to do it and get out of what I was doing. So it was kind of a take on everything and anything. So it was all about the contacts that I already had. I hadn't even considered like the marketing element hadn't even come into my mind at that point.
Oh, okay. So you were good at the admin assistant role, the
Yeah.
EA role. What you didn't realize jumping into business is that you were about to be all roles.
Yes. Yeah. I hadn't really thought about that. It was just, I know what I'm good at. I know people need this. From when I'd originally looked at setting up the business in 2012, I knew that the VA, at that point, the VA world in America was taking off, but it wasn't really here. I think you had like a couple of big businesses that were doing it, but not individuals so much.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so when it came to actually setting up, I was like, I can do this. I know I can do it. I just hadn't considered all the hats,
Yeah.
particularly the marketing side, because it's just not something I excel in life.
No, you put a post on this the other day,
Yes.
inviting people to come on to join your mailing list.
Yes.
And then I think your line was, "Don't worry, I won't spam you. I'm not very good at marketing."
Yeah. It will have been, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to send you a message like, "You got this, girl." But then I was a bit like, I don't want to think I'm patronising or anything, so I didn't. But I did enjoy your first email though.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, I've done it before. Like, I think because I've changed what I'm doing, it's that kind of new, are people going to want to hear about it? And I feel like you've got loads of drinks there. I'm sorry, like, what have you got going on? I've seen multiple cups.
Okay. So as I'm sure you can imagine, it's a cold day outside. Got the
Yes,
heating on for the dog,
yes,
and so it is quite warm. I'm under lights, and when you speak, obviously,
yeah,
you got to wet your whistle and keep
yeah.
your mouth operating. So originally I had coffee to
Right.
inject, because obviously hosting the show you have to
Yeah,
inject the energy. I needed a
yeah.
bit of an energy boost, and then I've got some orange and pineapple squash
Ooh,
just
nice.
to like keep going with the water. But I finished my coffee. But coffee sometimes gets a bit dry, and you need a
Yeah,
wet drink.
yeah,
That's why I had to take a second drink of my coffee had reached that dry point. It's like dry wine, isn't it? You're drinking
yeah.
it and you're like,
You're like,
you're like, oh, I need a wet drink. And people are
yeah,
like, wet drink? All drinks are wet. I'm like, no, no, but a wet one.
yeah, like a quencher, not something. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
yeah,
So that's what I did. But obviously, yeah, what with having a talking show,
yes,
you got to make sure that you're well lubricated, as it were.
yeah. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I totally went
No,
off.
sorry,
I was
I,
like,
I
multiple cups.
distracted
I
you with
needed
my
to know.
drinking.
Yeah,
Um, yes, so marketing.
yeah.
It's tough though, isn't it? I mean,
Tough day.
essentially nowadays that is the way to do it.
Mm,
Social media, and even then, it's like, should we really,
mm.
what's this week? We've just had Blue Sky, is it the new social
Oh,
media
yeah, I saw
network thing?
that.
So I saw a thing the other day. Someone said, if you've built a following, there's actually a guest of the show. It was his newsletter talking
Mm.
about how he built a following on Instagram pre-COVID or just after or during COVID. Nearly got to 10,000 followers, which used to be the aim back in the
Mm.
day,
It
because you got
unlocked all
extra
the
features.
features, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and so he got nearly there. I think he was on like 9,800 or something. And then his personal circumstances changed, and he stopped doing it. And then like that, 2,000 followers gone. And you think to yourself that and that was his people that he was talking to and stuff
Mm.
like that. And now, I mean, if Instagram disappeared tomorrow, I'm nearly at 900 followers, which has taken me ages. Like it was at what was it, 7:30 for a good couple of years, and
Yeah.
then obviously once I've done the podcast and I've got some
Mm.
stuff, and then I've been doing more of the videos and stuff like that. Um, and so it's gradually climbing, but I haven't got my own mailing list yet. It's on the to do list,
Oh, yeah.
but it's like if Instagram got deleted tomorrow, it's like see you later, 800 people. I'm sure that probably, I don't know, 50 to 100 probably find me somehow.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, you think, oh no, you're on borrowed land, as it were, aren't you, with a social media platform? But that's how we sell our services.
Yeah. It's a difficult one. And I've grown my mailing list over the last few years, but not to what it could be and not compared to the following on Instagram. Like, and I know a lot of probably my following aren't actually real people. They're just bots and perverts. But, it's nice to occasionally try and get people to follow you on your mailing list to know you've got that security blanket. But it's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, it's tough because you've got that. I always think to myself, I'll do a mailing list, and I think, well, what am I going to write about?
Mm.
I mean, there's only so many times you can say, I've done two FIFA puzzles today, and I've top and tailed a
Yeah.
report, and there was something I should have done, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Or
Procrastinated again. Surprise.
yeah, yeah, I spent a little bit too much time researching the market on Instagram. Um,
Yeah.
and then I think, well, who would read it? But then just recently, I joined a couple of mailing lists to support people. I think I've had an email every day.
Yeah. Supportive. Nice.
Yeah, yeah, I'm like number one hype man for people. I like everyone's posts. I don't even read half of them. I just like it.
Yeah.
I like all their stories, emojis for stories, reactions for stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it when I see a feed and like if you go into someone's chat and all you can see is like emojis and reactions from me, and then just scene, 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 scene. I'm like, okay, I guess you don't want to be friends then.
Yeah. I can be quite guilty of that. Apologies.
Um, it's like, oh, okay, right. Where's the little right
Yeah.
down? Simply Jools, big X. Okay, right. Side quest on completed on mailing lists and Instagram, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Let's do quickfire questions.
Okay.
As listeners will know and watchers, these aren't very quick.
Um,
But they are designed to get to know our guest a little bit better and to throw in a bit of admin because ultimately that's my day job. Because what's his name? Seth Rogen, or is it Joe Rogan? Joe Rogan? Joe Rogan. Seth
yeah.
Rogen's the actor. Joe
Rogan's
Rogan's
the
the
actor, yeah.
podcast guy.
Yeah.
He hasn't called yet to ask me if I want to be his co-host and give me millions and millions of dollars.
Rude.
So yeah, the admin continues just for now. However, if you would like to support the show, there is a coffee link. You can check out Riverside, which is what we record the podcast on, or you can try Moxie, the freelancers CRM. If you subscribe via my link, I get some money and you get 30 days for free. So that's the sponsory bit done. Now we'll do the quickfire questions.
Okay.
I'm getting better at this podcasting lark as I go along.
It
I
feels
think
very profesh.
Thanks. That is the first time I've actually dropped those in mid-show. And
Nice.
see how I did it live? A lot of people pre-record it and then drop it in. I don't like the sound change when people do that because
Yeah.
obviously they've recorded different sound levels.
Yeah.
But yeah, thought I'd throw that in there just for shiggles.
Also, though, just to add to that, Moxie, definitely sign up if you haven't, guys, because it's amazing.
Oh, you're a Moxie person too?
I'm a Moxie person, yeah.
Nice. Let's talk about Moxie after the quickfire questions.
Sure.
Do you want to try and remind me, or shall I try and remember so that I can remind you?
I'll give it a go. I do
Hang
love
on, let
talking
me.
about tech, so I will probably remember because
Okay,
you won't be able to
hang
stop me
on.
talking about it.
I'm gonna grab a notepad and I'm
Look at
gonna
that.
write Moxie under my nose. I'm gonna cut out that awkward pause there while I wrote that down.
Okay.
I'll shorten it down. Okay, right. Quickfire questions, and then we'll talk about Moxie, amongst other things. If you're still with us, listeners and watchers, thank you. All right, Jools. You've alluded to the fact that you are around 40. I guess that from the things you've said.
Yes.
Because I am nearly around 40. What's been your favourite age so far?
Oh, okay. So I don't think I've got a favorite age. I think my 40s are going to be my best decade. I think they're just so far. I'm 42 in March. Loving it so far. Like, just great. I just think there's something about when you get to this age, less fucks are given.
Nice, I like it. That's what I'm told. But did you find like 38, 39, you were kind of like, ooh?
What about becoming 40?
Yeah.
No, I went all guns blazing. I was big party. I was like, I think I was more worried about 41. 40 felt exciting because it's a big number and, you can make the most of it. And then when it came to 41, I was a bit like, oh, God, now it's just old.
Yeah. I'm like stuck in that whole. I like 30. I just turned 39 like 3 weeks ago or something. 2 weeks
Oh.
ago. 3 weeks ago today. No, nearly 3 weeks ago. And I'm just like 40 next year, and I'm like, how can I be 40 when I'm like 24 or something?
Yeah, I know what you
And
mean.
but then when I talk to like a 22, 23-year-old, I know I'm not 23, 24 because I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Or they ask me a stupid question that you learn in your late 20s,
Yeah.
and you're like, how have you not learned that yet? Like, how old are you?
Yeah,
Um,
I think there's but I don't miss it. Like when I talk to people that are that age, I'm sort of like, oh, I'm so glad I'm out of it.
yeah, it does seem very dramatic nowadays. And obviously, when we were back in that that kind of age, there was social media wasn't really a thing.
Well,
So
Facebook was just starting, wasn't it? And everyone was posting their this is one of the reasons that I'm not on Facebook because everyone started posting their Saturday night pictures and tagging you and everything. And I was like, I don't need
yeah,
to really see that. Like, no, thank you.
yeah, I'm glad that that's like not around. Just because all the faces you see from like even those videos, that people like really old school videos that people now upload to Facebook, and you think, oh my God,
Yeah.
glad there's no pictures of me like stumbling around,
Yeah.
tripping over with cigarette burns in my shirt from where someone's turned around. I'm like, oi, what are you doing?
Oh, the good old days.
The good old days. All right. So, looking forward to your 40s.
Yeah,
That's gonna be your favorite age so far.
it is definitely.
Okay, question number 2. What is your favorite quote? This could be a movie quote, a meme, a motivational quote, or any other quote you can think of.
Talk to Me Goose from
Nice.
Top Gun. It's my favorite
Yeah.
film.
Top Gun.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just the best. And I'm not
Really?
Top Gun 2, Top Gun Maverick also number 2. So Top Gun, Top Gun Maverick.
I haven't seen Top Gun Maverick yet.
Exceptional. It could have been terrible, but for me, it was bang on.
I remember last time I watched Top Gun, I was a bit like,
I think at one point in my life, when we talk about growing up, I think I actually wanted to be Tom Cruise. So I was obsessed with like Top Gun, Days of Thunder, Cocktail, Legend, like, and then I was like, what have these all got in common? Tom Cruise. I think I want to be Tom Cruise.
yeah, I
Not
quite enjoyed
anymore.
Cocktail.
Great film. Yeah.
Days of Thunder, they were all very similar though, weren't they? I had this thing back in 2012, 2013, 2014, I guess, that kind of years. And I was like, these Tom Cruise films, they're all the same. It's like your Top Gun, Days of Thunder, Cocktail and Dreams. It's like Tom Cruise is the hero at
Yeah.
5 foot nothing.
Yeah.
Comes in like, look at me. Everyone goes, oh wow, he's a bit arrogant, isn't he? And he goes, no, I can do it. And then he doesn't do it. And then he disappears. And then he has like an epiphany. And then he comes back and he does it.
I know, it's great.
What was the other one? Is it A Few Good Men?
Few Good
He was
Men.
in that one
Great
too, wasn't he?
film. Also
Yeah.
helped when I wanted to do the law. I was like, God, yeah, Tom Cruise. I could be Tom Cruise.
Yeah. Like, you can't handle the truth.
Yeah, such a great film.
I like Kevin Bacon in that film.
Yes.
With the old, these are the facts and they're undisputed.
Yeah, Kevin Bacon is a really great actor and always does creepy roles really well, I think.
Apart from when he was in For a Few Good Men.
Yes. No, he's not great in that one, is he? I can't remember.
He's technically is he the bad guy
Yeah.
solicitor, I think, maybe?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't creepy though, was he? I suppose he was
No,
just
he's not creepy, just a bit awful. But I just would like to make it clear that I am not a massive Tom Cruise fan, because I do find him a bit odd. I just happen to like some of his older stuff.
Yeah, he's there was a guest on the show, Richard Hiron, the Hironator. He's called the Hironator because of the love of his films. He's an employment solicitor, a good friend of mine. I speak to him quite often on Instagram,
Love it.
most days, I would say. And we quite often will throw reels or memes to each other on the DMs based
Love
on
it.
films. Batman is a big thing of ours,
Excellent.
but there's a back to American Psycho.
Ooh.
Christian Bale based his character on Tom Cruise in a film. I can't remember the film. I'll have to fact check it.
Ooh.
But yeah. And then I was told this by Richard. And then I said, oh, that's interesting because I've seen Tom Cruise do like a skit with Ben Stiller
Yeah.
where Ben Stiller's trying to be he's like his stunt double. And they said something like, oh, it's almost like we finish each other's sentences. And then Tom Cruise says, we never finish each other's. And then Ben Stiller obviously knows he's going to say sentences. So he jumps in and he's like, what? And then they laugh and it's like a really fake laugh and it's so weird. And apparently Tom Cruise is like proper weird.
Yeah, I feel like he probably is.
Um,
You don't hear a lot of non-weird stuff about him.
no, but I think we should probably move on from that because
Yeah,
Tom Cruise
sorry.
does have a lot of money.
Yes.
And if you are going to sue someone for libel, a lot of money is a good thing.
Yes, true,
so
true.
yeah, I don't want to get sued after episode 25.
Yeah.
I still have got a few recordings booked. So,
Yeah. Let's
so
not
if
take the podcast down just now.
yeah, I wouldn't like to get a cease and desist letter on the old Rad-Ventures podcast from Tom Cruise's solicitors or lawyers.
Yeah, sorry, I'd hate to be responsible for that one.
Yeah, can you imagine that? Right, okay. Where were we? Right, so yeah. Okay, so
Talk to me,
What was
Goose.
the quote? Talk to me, Goose. I like it. It's good. And it obviously provided us with a fantastic conversation there. Please don't sue me, Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Um, Sue Jools, she said it, not me. She's got a law degree. She can defend herself. Right, question number 3. Google Suite or Microsoft 365?
Google Suite.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah. All the way.
Yeah.
Like, hard fan. Hates
Hard
Microsoft.
fan. You
Have to
do?
use Microsoft with a client. Hate it, hate it, hate it. Used to be an absolute pro in it when I was an EA, because that's all they
Yeah.
ever use in corporate, isn't it?
Yeah.
Used to be the absolute like go-to. All the people would come to me for questions, and now I'm like, get it away from me.
Ah, interesting. I use Microsoft quite often.
Ugh.
Because of that's just what it is, and that's what people use, or that's what people used to use. So I quite like it. I think it's that familiarity because that's all we had way back in the day. Like back when we first got computers in our primary schools, and it's all like, oh, you're going to have a go on Word now,
Yeah.
and one computer in the class, and you got your slotted time. It's tough up north, isn't it?
It is. I remember it well.
But yeah, I mean, I sometimes use Google for some clients, and actually, I did find myself the other day. I was like, oh, I need to make a spreadsheet for someone, and I was like, I'll just do Google Sheets because then I can share it with them easier, and they can edit it kind of live, and it's not gonna. I know Microsoft does the same, but at the same time, it's not quite the same. It's like, it's really, really live in Google.
I find the difficulty with understanding what Microsoft I'm on. Is it 365? Is it Outlook? Is it Exchange? Like, there's just so many options. Like, am I using the app? Because I'm a Mac user as well, so then Mac doesn't like it. So it's just, there's a lot of questions that come up for me with Microsoft.
Yeah, I recently got caught out by their like try new Outlook, and I was like, ooh, new Outlook, and then I clicked it, and I was like, what is this? And then I was like, oh, this is what do they call it? Mail, Windows Mail. I was like, just rebranded. I was like, no, I don't like it.
No.
And I had to go back, and I was like, no. I was like, they tried to hook me in with new, but actually it was a downgrade of Outlook 365.
And when you have to do that awful shameful button when it says like go back to the old way, almost like you have to and be like, oh god.
I was like, that was not an improvement. You fix it. You heard it here first, Microsoft. Sort that out. Though I'm not a fan of Google Mail.
Really?
I don't like the layout of it. I don't like the little pop-uppy window, and I don't like the fact that you have to go online to do it.
And I love all those things about it. Yeah, we'll just agree to disagree.
Yeah, I was going to say it's horses and courses, isn't it?
Yeah.
We won't fall out about it. It's fine.
No.
All right. Question number 4. What app can you not live without?
What? If I'm honest, it's probably TikTok. But from a business perspective, other than like the Google Suites, because obviously they're like your day-to-day, your calendar, all the boring stuff, probably I use ClickUp a lot. It's like my brain.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
ClickUp and reminders are my two, like, they keep my life on track.
Yeah. So you mentioned Moxie earlier.
Yes.
So you use ClickUp as well as Moxie?
Yes. I know you can do task management in Moxie, but the way I have mine set up is I think a lot of my tasks are my business, not how I work with a client. So having them in Moxie doesn't really kind of suit my needs. So I like to have them in ClickUp. I think if I was working in like a job where, like you do, where you're like back and forth with a client on tasks for them, or like if you were a web developer and you were, you needed things from a client, I can so see how you'd use Moxie for that. But for me, a lot of my stuff is just the stuff that I'm working on, and it's not client facing, so it doesn't really need to be in Moxie. And I've always had ClickUp and I love it.
Yeah, I've never tried ClickUp. I've tried the majority of the others. I haven't tried Monday either, or Monday.com or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Monday. I'm moving on. But ClickUp is not one of the ones I've tried, but I just use Moxie for a project management.
Yeah.
Just, someone gives me a task, I plop it in there, and then I just assign some time to it once I've done it.
I think.
I don't even use the invoicing because I've got another invoicing software.
Okay,
And
interesting.
I don't have a high turnover of clients, so I don't really need the onboarding stuff. So I don't really know why I use Moxie, but I love it.
But also, I think like it's just got so much like the fact that you can use it as a ticketing thing as well. So you could send out like a link to your clients, and when they want
Mm,
something, they can just ticket it and it goes in to your project management tool. That's
yeah,
genius. Like,
good luck getting them to do that though.
I know, I mean, I know it's always, yeah, it's always
It's
the
a
way, isn't
brilliant it's a brilliant idea, but I can imagine if I turned around to a couple of my clients and were like, "Listen, if you want me to do something,
it?
drop it in here, and then it's automatically going to be assigned to my task list." And I would be like, "Yeah." Then they're like, "Oh,"
Yeah.
and so
Why
I'm
can't I
like,
voice note you?
"Yeah." They're like, "Why can't I just email you?" I'm like, "All right, just email me then."
Yeah.
Maybe I'll try ClickUp.
Yeah.
But I tell you what I do like in Moxie, you can put your clients' logos in for your projects.
Nice.
And so, yeah, so it looks really nice because you've got all the little logos there instead of having like to assign them a color. And then you're like, oh, what was my
Yes.
color for that one again?
There is something lovely about
Um,
that. Anything that you can brand, I'm just like, yes, give it to me.
yeah, the only thing I think feel like they are missing, I haven't said this before, I really miss, like, I had a sauna before,
I
and
love
you
this.
got the old unicorn or the
I was
narwhal jump up.
just
And
about
I
to
was like,
say,
yeah, I missed that. And I was talking to someone on Friday, and they have Trello. And apparently they had a unicorn pop up say, well done.
what?
I know. I was like, how did you do that? I was like, how long has that been a thing?
Yeah, I used to use Trello, and then I went from Trello to ClickUp, and I have almost been pulled to the dark side of Asana, some like on a few occasions,
Hmm.
and I do love it. I think if I didn't already use ClickUp, I'd use Asana purely for the unicorn.
Mm. Yeah,
Mm,
I mean, it nearly drew me back the other day, and I did open
yeah,
it up, and I looked at it, and I was like, oh, yeah, there's all those funny color, like there's really boring
yeah,
colors, and then I was like, but I can have logos in Moxie,
you can.
and then I was like, oh, then I'm gonna have to restart toggle. And I was like,
Oh
oh,
no,
I was like, no, back to Moxie, back to Moxie we go.
good
Cool.
choice.
Let's talk about. Let's finish this question, shall we?
Okay, yeah.
I got distracted then with because you mentioned ClickUp. I do like
Sorry,
a product management software.
it's the
Project
best.
management, not product management. What am I talking about? Okay, question 5 is how many unread emails do you have on your phone right now?
Do you want me to check? I'll check for you. I'm gonna guess it's zero. Yeah, I've got personal ones, but my business one is zero.
Oh, we want to know your personal ones too.
One sec, sorry. I don't have any notifications on my phone. Like I don't have the red circles, so I don't know.
Ah, yeah, we're finding that a lot quite recently.
Six.
6.
S-
Oh, the shame.
Yeah, I am a clear inbox person.
Nice. I
My
like it.
anxiety can't cope with it.
Um, hence the no notifications either.
Yeah, no notifications.
I like it. I should turn my notifications off, but then when things go off, I wouldn't know about it, so I have to keep them on. It's a double-edged sword.
It is. That's not totally true. There are a few that I have notifications on for that I wouldn't naturally think to check.
Mm,
So like Slack, for example, I have for one of the programs I'm in, and it doesn't come naturally for me to remember to check Slack. So that has a notification. But like, yeah, emails, WhatsApp, anything like that, zero notifications.
yeah. Slack was the one that I thought of just where because I just had a Slack notification pop up, and I thought, oh, I wouldn't check that very often if I didn't have any notifications.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, I'm like, oh, shiny, what's that? Is that a new task to do? Nice.
Oh yeah. What
Um,
can I procrastinate on and get rid
yeah,
of?
like oh,
Do?
yeah, like oh, I don't want to do this anymore. What can I do instead?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, if I do that. Right. Okay. Question number 6.
Yeah.
If you could have any car, you don't need to worry about the outlay costs, the maintenance costs, the tires, etc. What car are you having?
I'd have a Mustang.
Nice. Second person on the show to say that.
Yeah, I'd have an old one though, not like a new. Well, I mean, don't want to be picky, but I'd quite like the 1960s Shelby
Ah, one
Mustang.
of those.
Yeah,
Yeah, nice. The
black.
previous one was a moderny one.
Yeah, I mean, I do love them, and I would, if one turned up, I'd be overjoyed. But if I could pick any car in the world, it'd be the 1960s Shelby Mustang.
Yeah, nice. I like it. I like the new ones, but I couldn't justify like the 5 liter engine. I'd be a bit like, that doesn't sound very environmentally friendly.
No,
And then I think 2.3 liter. It's not the 5 liter, is it?
but then also, and then they've made it in an electric version, and I'm kind of like that defeats the object for me. Like
That does it. That is that's like a different style, though, isn't it? It's not
a
like
little
the.
bit. It's not hugely different, but it's not quite. It's a bit like with all of them when they bring an electric one out, they tweak something. But
Yeah, and they're really big as well, like size wise. And you think, would I really want to leave that on the street when it takes up like a street and a half?
you're so nice thinking about all these things. I was just like thinking, what do I want? Yeah.
Yeah, like what? Like, yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
tick that box for me. I'm gonna have that.
Yeah. Screw the
Yeah,
environment. Screw the people that need the parking spaces. I'm having my
yeah.
car.
But can you imagine like rocking up to Tesco's or something this afternoon, and you rock up in your brand new Shelby GT
Yeah.
Mustang thing, and the engine's roaring, and you're like, "Yeah, look at me!" And then you go to open the door, but you can't because the car's too wide, and so you can't even get in a standard space. Or even worse, you go to the kiddies, the mother and child space, or the parent and child, should I
Yeah.
say? Sorry. And you try so that you can actually open your door because you've got that actual space, and then someone goes, "Where's your child?"
At home.
Yeah. Then they'll be like,
Yeah.
"Well, you don't need to park in that space, do you?"
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, there is that.
Um,
I hadn't really considered all of these things when I was thinking of my dream car. I was just like, it looks good. I like
yeah,
it.
see. I
Yeah.
agree. It does look good.
It looks
And the
sense.
older ones look good.
Yeah.
But yeah, practicalities of a new one, not so sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Dreams of a Mustang dashed. Well done,
Yes,
Richard.
clearly,
Pat on the
yeah.
back. Okay. Let's talk about what you want to do when you grow up.
Ideally, I'd like to not grow up. That would
Yeah, I mean that's always the case, isn't it?
you know what? It's really weird. I don't know. I'd like to do what I'm doing for a bit. I've thought a lot over
Yeah.
the last few years about like realistically, if I've got 20, 30 years left in me working, how do I sort of future-proof my business?
Hmm.
So that has all played a lot of a part in what I've been thinking about what I want to do, but I genuinely don't know.
Yeah, it's.
Oh,
Oh, sorry, hang on. I've lost the dog.
I thought you'd
Um,
fallen off your chair because my answer was just so riveting.
yeah. Just say, whoops, sorry, my chair slipped from beneath me. Don't know where he's gone.
Oh
Oh well,
no.
I'm sure he's. Oh no, he's over there. 2 seconds.
Okay, is he okay?
Yeah, he's fine. I don't know what he's doing. He's lost, I think. I put him in his bed.
Oh,
Right, I'll cut that bit out of the show. So
okay.
that'd be a bit weird. Um, I'll cut some of it out of the show. Some of it I'll
Yeah,
leave, otherwise it won't make sense.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, look. Oh yeah, so don't want to grow up.
No,
I think obviously as business owners, we're always kind of thinking, what can we do to down the line, and how
yeah,
long do you realistically want to do this for? And there's like there's a lot of talk about work life balance and things like that. I think if you were to retire, then you'd be, as a business owner, someone that's been looking to wear all the hats all the time, and then all of a sudden you've got nothing to do, or
yeah,
you've got to find yourself some hobbies. I think you'd be a bit like, what do I do now?
yeah. I think we're all like, yeah, we're business owners for a reason, right? And that we have done this, and I know that I could never do nothing, but I also know I was talking to a friend about this recently, how we almost like try and turn everything into a business, and you kind of lose your hobbies because you're like, oh great, let's turn it into a business. So I know that if I ever was to retire, I'd just be looking for new things to do. I suppose it might be a bit different if the financial pressure's off.
Mm.
But yeah, I just don't, I really struggle to think that far into the future. And like, yeah, I kind of think about it, but I can't plan that far ahead.
Yeah, I must admit, I'm very similar in that I think, someone says to me, "What's your 5 year plan?" I'm like, I don't know, hold
Mm,
fast.
yeah.
And they're like,
Yeah.
okay. And then they're like, well, you should have an annual goal, a 6 monthly goal, a 5 year goal, a 10 year goal. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, I don't know what's going to happen in that period of time. But I do now, after I've been taking a plethora of supplements over the last 6 to 8 months. I'm now starting to like. Firstly, I've all of a sudden developed creativity out of from like I've shot from logic, pure soul logic, just to creativity. I mean, I started a podcast. We're 26 episodes deep. You're going to be episode 25. I've taken up photography, doing some videography, all that type of stuff.
I love that.
And but now I'm starting to think on, how can I improve this process in my business? Whereas before, I just kind of, for want of a better word, raw dog it. Someone gives me a task, I do it, and then I'd be like, right, that took me 12 minutes, 12 minutes on the bill, boom. And now I'm like, actually, how could I improve that? How could I improve my day-to-day management if instead of, oh, I've got a notification, better do that job for them. Well, actually, if we've got set parameters of how many days or how much time I've got to do that task, I could lump that task with another task that they want me to do, and then this, that, and the other, and stuff like that. And so here's my point that I actually finally got to, is that. Oh, hang on a sec. Oh yeah, so I'm thinking about the future. I know. I was like, hang on a sec. I've like that little infill bit made me forget what I was actually going to say. So I'm thinking to myself, think about the future. Think about like, what's next, as it were, and like, and then we're in this kind of weird thing where I'm doing this whole podcast thing, I'm doing this YouTube thing, and like I say, Joe Rogan's not been on the phone, but I've enjoyed what I'm doing, and now I'm like, well, people have said, I'd love to see some solo episodes of you, Richard, instead of guest episodes, and then I'm like, oh, I quite enjoy watching a bit of vlogging on the internet. I could do that, a day in the life of. Day in the life of a freelance administrator, but it's a lot of me sat at a computer typing. But I'm sure I could fill it in a bit,
Exactly. Adding a few bits in, getting your drinks, getting all your multiple drinks ready.
Yeah, multiple drinks ready. Answering multiple phones, that kind of stuff, all that jazz.
Yeah.
And then I think, well, you could do that, and then if people can watch, someone on the internet doing whatever they do, insert bland subject here. I'm sure they can watch Richard in here talking over a video of him typing away. Yeah. And I'm like, then what would the world be in the way it is now? Monetizing, advertising, blah, 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 blah. We've already had an advert in the show today to try and support the show. So I think, maybe down the line that. But then this is my actual point.
Okay.
And it relates to your point.
Okay.
And I have said it before, but this is new for you.
Okay.
So back in the day when Pokemon come out on the Game Boy, and you could have Pokemon Red or you could have Pokemon Blue, and then you could wander around the map with you fighting Pokemon and catching Pokemon and leveling up your Pokemon. I like to compare life to that. And so if you wanted to go to a certain level, like the grasslands, for example, now this is where it goes a bit off Pokemon, because like it was like that was like, what was that, 25 years ago, something like that, a bit longer maybe. So if you want to go to the grasslands, you need like a grass type Pokemon to fight the grass type Pokemon that are in the grasslands. And if you've got if you've not got a high enough grassland Pokemon, you're not going to be able to fight in the grasslands. So you got to level up your Pokemon. Or if you're only a certain level yourself, you're not going to be able to enter that zone. It's kind of so you can see the zones there, but it's all the map is all grayed out. You don't know, you can see it, but you don't know what's in there. And that's how I like compare my business journey. Yeah. It's like, I'm like, I want to go over there to the grasslands, but I can't see the grasslands yet, but I know the grasslands there. And then as you go, it says, you need a level 5 Pokemon. And I'm like, oh, poor level 3 Pokemon, I don't know, insert grass Pokemon here. Caterpie, is he a grass type? I don't know.
I don't know my Pokemon, I'm afraid.
No, I could probably at a push give you the original 151, but after that, no. I mean, like I say, it's been 25 to nearly 30 years, I think.
That's still impressive.
Yeah, my memory's quite good. Don't know what that could be related to. Anyway, so yeah, that's how I like to compare it. But so yeah, I understand where you're coming from with that whole business future thing. And with regard to not wanting to grow up, I am a firm believer in that. And I seem to have developed Peter Pan syndrome as I am getting older. It's like, I remember, when my daughter was born in 2012, I remember, responsible adult now, and, must give a good example, and this, that, and the other. And then as time's gone on, it would be like, she'd be like, can we do this task, Dad? I'm like, oh, that sounds messy. Nope, sounds like adult supervision is required on that one. We'll have to wait till Mum gets home. And I'm like a nearly 40-year-old man. Why am I saying that? I'm like, no.
You see, I haven't got kids, so I feel like in a sense, it feels like I've never really had to grow up because I've never had to take on that responsibility of like caring for something other than myself.
Yeah, I think like you get once you're getting past 10, then they're pretty good, aren't they? That's it. Yeah, they can feed themselves, they can walk themselves.
Yeah.
Put a bit of water down for them, show them where the toilet is. That's them.
Yeah.
There you go. That's my parenting handbook.
101. Yeah.
Yeah. Perhaps we'll call it parenting 99 or something. It's probably missing a couple of bits.
That's the future for you. Parenting handbook.
Yeah, that's it. We'll call that company Dadmin.
Dadmin. Excellent. Brilliant.
We can't call it Dadmin. Dadmin is actually going to be the name for my man group, I think. Ricky Locke's episode. What number was that? 8?
My man group.
We're
what
going.
happens in a man group?
I think we kind of go and talk about, being a dad and how to do admin. I think it's that.
Yeah.
And it's like a men's health supportive group.
Love that.
Yeah, if I remember correctly.
The future, we've got all sorts of plans for the future.
I have lots of plans for the future. It's not the planning that's the problem, it's the implementation.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think, we finished the what do you want to do when you grow up thing. So, and I say this lightly so that YouTube guests and watchers don't hear, but I think it's a nice time to start the wrap up.
Sure.
Because if they hear that, then they might now cut off.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, right, end the video. But we want them to go all the way.
Yeah, we do.
So stick with us because right now, Jools is going to tell you where you can find her. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got a website. It's under construction at the moment, but we'll pop it out there anyway. By the time this comes out, it might actually be live again.
Yeah, it'll be live.
Which is simply-jools.com. I'm also on Instagram, but I'm not really posting a lot on there at the moment, at simply.jools, just to throw a bit of chaos in the mix there. And the dash was taken, I assume. And then I am venturing out onto LinkedIn. This is where I'm growing up. This is like where I'm growing up.
Not LinkedIn.
Jools Aspinall, I think. Or it might be my proper name, which is Julia Aspinall. Can't remember, actually. Yeah, so that's you're just going to have to chance it.
Yeah, I'll chance. Well, I will put those in the show notes when I do them in, mid-February. And your website will be live by then. And I'm sure you'll probably be like queen of LinkedIn by then.
I'm hoping to be, yeah.
Yeah, LinkedIn's not for me. I've tried it. I don't like it.
I'm gonna stick with it for a bit and see what happens.
I'll tell you what I do like on LinkedIn. There's games on LinkedIn.
Is there?
One's called Queens and the other's called Tango, and I play them every day.
Really?
Yeah, they're really good. Queens is like a logical puzzle. It's a bit like Sudoku, but you have to put the crown in, and then you can block the others off. It's all based on logic. And Tango's very similar. But I'm on a 138-day streak, I think, on Queens.
Nice.
Yeah, I play with my friend Brody. She beats me all the time. She's a chartered accountant, though, so... Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give that a go, actually. I didn't know that was a thing. That's how into LinkedIn I am. I'm just...
Yeah, you go on go search games, and then it come up with LinkedIn games.
Who knew? Obviously,
there's 4 of them. I don't think loads of people know about it, but I keep like, everyone says, Richard, you should be on LinkedIn. Obviously, providing B2B services.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I know I should. But every time I go on, I'm like, corporate Colin. Or, should I really put that? Is someone going to be like, that should be on Instagram, not on LinkedIn?
Yeah. I'm like, what sort of... Because at the moment, I'm not posting very often. And I believe, and I could be wrong in this, but if you post once a week, you're in like the top 1% of users. Like, just if you post once a week. So it doesn't take a huge amount. I could be wrong in that, and by the time this comes out, it might be not correct. But anyway, but I'm like, I have an urge to go on and do kind of like the old school Facebook updates. Do you know when you were like, just having my lunch, here's a picture? I'm like, I don't feel like I'm not quite aware of where I lie in the LinkedIn world. Like, what am I supposed to be telling the people on there? It just feels like it's the sort of place you go, you drop a thought and then you leg it.
Yeah. As I understand it, your LinkedIn is how you curate it. So, if you're following Corporate Collins, all you're going to see is Corporate Collins.
Yeah.
And with their updates like, just been to the bathroom and it made me think about my life's journey. How it doesn't matter what you do, everything still ends up shit down the toilet. And that's how working in corporate finance is. They managed to turn everything into a story about their career.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, really? There was one guy who got engaged. And he put it on LinkedIn, and it was a lesson in business and partnerships. It went, I think Lab Bible got hold of it, and it went all over there. But I think they are trying to get in with the cool kids, LinkedIn. But yeah, I think I just go on there, and I'm tempted to put a post on there at the moment, like, all right, LinkedIn, woo me, and see what people come back with.
Do it.
But then I'm like, well, people will probably be like, well, LinkedIn is how you curate it, and this, that, and the other, and so, and then I'm like,
But again, is that because of who you're following? Do you need to change up your audience on there so you get?
I thought I was following all the cool kids,
I'm definitely not. I'm following some cool kids, but I've got some non-cool kids in there too.
Yeah, we won't name or shame people, just in
No.
case they get offended. Someone might listen to this.
Hopefully not Tom Cruise.
Hopefully not Tom Cruise. Yeah, cannot afford that. It's like, what Americans are like. Oh no!
No,
Stop! Yeah. Okay. Right. So we know where to find you.
You do.
So yeah, I mean, I think that is us done. I think.
Excellent. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, interesting story, and I love the fact that Ally McBeal was the reason that you went to law school. Maybe, I wonder if I can get some Ally McBeal footage, and we can cut that into the thing. Yeah,
You should have
the
thought, and I
advert for
could have
this
done
one.
the baby dance for you.
I think you could probably get that as a GIF, and I could probably add it to a clip. So we could probably have we could probably have the Ooga Chagga song. What is that? Blue Suede or something?
Absolutely no idea.
I can't stop this feeling. I don't know, something like that. We could have that as like the intro.
Yeah.
We could have a few clippy cuts where we talk about Ally McBeal.
Yeah.
And then we'll have the dancing baby at the end, like like that.
Yeah.
That will be the advert for this on Instagram and Facebook because it's nice and easy to cross post. And not on LinkedIn though, because the music license won't be there.
So yeah.
But okay, well, really appreciate you coming on, Jools. It's fantastic to talk to you.
You too.
And for watchers and listeners, if you've made it this far, really appreciate you. Drop us in the comments what you did think of this episode. And also, here's a fun game that we're going to play from mid-February. I might have to put this on the advert too. No, I can't put this on the advert. I'll have to. If you mention this show on your LinkedIn, not on your LinkedIn, on your LinkedIn, and tag me, or if you're on your Instagram and you tag me, then I will mention you in the next episode. But no, wait, I can't do that because they're too far in advance. I'm going to work on that. But anyone that does tag me,
it's the thought. The idea is there.
I'm going to have to. I'll make this into a mini clip. Okay.
Ooh.
So yeah, what we'll do. Those who watch this mini clip, which will be a reel on Instagram, if you comment underneath, I will mention you in my next recording, which is today is the 20th of November. My next recording is the 29th of November with Paul Smart. So if you mention us Richard and Radmin Assist and Simply Jools, then I will mention you in my next episode. How does that sound?
Yay! Love it.
Yeah. Hopefully that's short enough that I can make a reel out of that and a YouTube short.
I mean, look at you, marketing expert.
Well, I take all my top tips from you.
Don't
right.
do anything.
I've said thank you for coming on, haven't I?
You have, yeah. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure talking to you, Jools.
You too.
And listeners and watchers, once again, thank you. We'll be back. I'll be back next week with another episode. And I hope you had a good. What are we in now? February? Well, we're not in February really, but they will be in February. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hope you had a good February. Peace out. So that cut.
Love it.
Thanks for joining us on Rad-Ventures. Don't forget to subscribe via your favourite platform. Always happy to chat, so hit me up in the DMs, and I'll see you on the next Rad-Venture.